Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. So I have been following the trial against Alec Murdaugh. I have not covered it here on the channel because it's just super covered everywhere and there's just so many other things for me to cover, but Alec got on the stand, as most of you know that have followed the case. He got on the stand on Thursday and Friday last week. And my eyes and ears were glued to his testimony. And of course, mostly the cross-examination was really interesting. So I want to play a bit and discuss a bit of some of the moments when he was on the stand and see what you guys think, considering that it looks as though I believe the defense has 2 or 3 more witnesses. I believe they stated on Friday before they adjourned for the weekend, and that closings should be done potentially by Wednesday. So after prosecution has a couple, I guess, rebuttal witnesses. So the jury could have this case by Thursday or Friday. So it's definitely interesting to see what they think of what Alec Murdaugh had to say on the stand. Because I think there's a lot of folks that believe he's convincing and there's others that don't. So let's get into this a bit. This is when he first took the stand on Thursday.
Mr. Murdaugh, on June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun or any gun like it and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take a 300 blackout, such as this, and fire it into your wife Maggie's leg, torso, or any part of her body?
No, I did not.
Did you shoot a 300 blackout into her head, causing her death?
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you, in fact, at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to Agent Owen and Agent Croft on the follow-up interview on June 10th that the last time you saw Maggie and Paul was at dinner?
I did lie to them.
And in the interview of August 11th, did you tell Agent Owen and Agent Croft, did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Alec, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking. It could be anything that triggered it. It might be a look somebody gave me. It might be a reaction somebody had to something I did. It might be a policeman following me in a car. That night, June 7th, after finding Mags and Paul, don't talk to anybody without Danny with you. all my partners were just repeatedly telling me that. I had a deputy sheriff taking gunshot tests from my hands. I'm sitting in a police car with David Owen asking me about my relationship with my wife and my son. And all those things coupled together after finding them, coupled with my distrust for SLED, caused me to have paranoid thoughts. Normally, when these paranoid thoughts would hit me, I could take a deep breath real quick and just think about it, reason my way through it, and just get past it really quickly. On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to my son Buster. I'm sorry to Grandma and Papa T. I'm sorry to both of our families. Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them.
So basically, this is the point when we learned that the video, the Snapchat video that Paul, who mind you Alec apparently called Paw or Paw, that was new to all of us. And the state prosecutor surely gets him on that as we go along. He realized that video was pretty damning. That you could hear him in the background. And anyone who knew Alec MURDAUGH said on that video, not only do you hear Paul's voice looking at Cash's dog, you hear Maggie, his wife, and you could hear Alec. So this is his new quote-unquote story. And as you could see at the beginning, he starts blaming it on his pills, his addiction that he states he's been addicted to for many, many years, to pills like oxycodone. So that's pretty much, it comes down to that, and his lies came from paranoia and constant lie upon lie due to taking all these pills. And he lied about stealing money from his law firm, from his clients that trusted him. He lied to the police on June 7th and thereafter. And he also, of course, we've all known that before the trial, but he lied about someone attacking him and trying to unalive him on the side of the road, which of course that was quote-unquote cousin Eddie doing it at his request. So what really gets me, and a lot of folks have questioned if the prosecution did their job well, and we're going to see, because what we think really doesn't matter. It's what the jury believes that's coming out of this man's mouth and what the state has or hasn't proved. That said, he's got all these good excuses and all these lies, and as we can see when we get to cross-examination, Waters, the defense lawyer, the prosecution sure hammers him on that. And he seems to remember certain things very clearly. Other things, he's got no clue. But my thing is with Alex MURDAUGH is it's like he's the boy who cried wolf. How can you believe somebody who just lies and lies and lies and, oh, I'm telling the truth that I did not unalive my wife and my youngest child? To me, I would be questioning that, and I do question that. So, yeah. So let me pull up some of the highlights from cross-examination. So this is Law and Crime's sidebar. And they have 7 key moments from Alex's heated cross-examination. So I'm going to play parts of it, and I'll pause it, and that way we can discuss it. And I'm anxious to see what you all think in the comments.
I just want everybody to understand, I do not dispute that I stole money that was not my money, that I misled people to do that I misled people that trusted me.
Alec Murdaugh on the hot seat under cross-examination. Is he telling the truth or is he lying? The jury will have to decide. I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. One of the first things that Creighton Waters, the Assistant Attorney General representing the state of South Carolina, did when he was cross-examining Alec Murdaugh was ask him about his claim that he didn't trust SLED, and that's why he lied about being at the kennels on the night of the murders. It's curious because the Murdaugh family has basically been a part of law enforcement for a century in the area. Murdaugh was a volunteer assistant solicitor and carried a couple of badges, one belonging to him and one belonging to his grandfather. He was asked about carrying one when he and his dad showed up at the hospital on the night of the boat crash involving his son, Paul.
I'll show you what's been marked as States 569. And do you recognize the person on the right in that image?
No, sir.
You don't recognize that?
I don't recognize him.
No, I'm asking about that.
Oh, me?
Is that you?
Yeah, it looks like me.
All right. What's hanging out of your pocket in plain view?
Looks like a badge.
You didn't recall that until I just showed you that picture?
No, sir, I did not.
Your Honor, it offers States 569 in the evidence. Okay.
Admit it.
That's you in the white shirt, is that right?
Yes, sir, it is.
And this is the badge hanging out of your pocket. You remember which, is that correct?
Looks to be, yes, sir.
Which badge is that? Which one of the two, do you remember?
Nah, you can't tell from here.
Okay. And why'd you have it hanging out of your pocket like that?
I don't remember having that. No, I don't know.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that, no, sir.
Did you generally walk around with your badge hanging out of your pocket?
Generally speaking, no, sir, I did not.
Or only when you wanted some advantage from it?
Did I
want some advantage from wearing it like that?
Did I hang it out in my pocket when I wanted an advantage?
Yes.
I may have.
Okay.
I certainly may have.
All right. What advantage did you want?
When?
Then?
I don't even recall this, Mr. Waters, but if I was wanting some advantage, as you say it, I guess, and I don't remember this, but I guess I would want, as I said, a badge has a warming effect with other law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And so if I was seeking any advantage, as you say, then I guess that would be what it was.
All right, so we got the badge that may be accidentally hanging out of your pocket. You won't concede that you did that purposefully.
I mean, Mr. Waters, if you want me to say I did that on purpose, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying I don't remember that. All right? So can I tell you that I did that on purpose? No, sir, I can't. Can I say that this happened by accident? No, sir, I can't. What I can say is I don't remember it, and that's not how I would normally, that's just not how I would normally, that's just not, it's not something I did. That's not a normal thing. So I don't know.
when asked by Creighton Waters, Alec Murdaugh says he was aware there was a criminal investigation underway into the investigation of the boat crash and the claim that Alec Murdaugh tried to influence the witnesses, the victims of that boat crash, by getting them to not talk to law enforcement, among other things. Another really big moment on cross-examination happened when
So Annette doesn't get really into the part. Continually we hear him on cross saying, "I don't remember that. I don't recall that," that sort of thing. I think he recalls and remembers quite a bit. I think he's got selective memory when it comes to being asked the truth. That's what I think. I guess the only other possibility is the drugs have fried his brain, but he's a smart man in so many ways that I find that hard to believe. But as far as, like I said, his intelligence is he's an intelligent man. He truly is, and he just thought that his Murdaugh history of the Murdaughs, and because of who he was, and because he carried a solicitor badge, that he could do whatever the hell he wanted to do. And that's pretty much the bottom line when it comes to Alec Murdaugh. And for those of you that have not watched the Netflix docuseries, I highly recommend it. I just finished watching it earlier today. It goes into quite a bit about the boat incident with Paul. And that definitely it's an eye-opener, gives you a lot of information. It also goes into some other, things involving the family. But you can start to see it come out there, how much they come out there, Alec and his father at the time and some of the other family, they come out there and they don't want the family to have any problems. So they're going to do whatever they can to try to, cover that up, just kind of, let's just let it go. And I don't believe for a hot second that he did not pick up that badge out of his car, and he claimed that he either kept it on his seat or he kept it in his cup holder, and if he got pulled over by cops, he would have it in his cup holder. And even though Mr. Waters stated, because you wanted an advantage, he kind of doesn't want to admit that, but he does. I mean, that's what he wants. He wants them to say, "Hey, you're Alex Murdaugh. Well, hell, I'm going to leave you alone and you could do whatever you want." That's just not how the world works. But that's what he and the family wanted. And I specifically think, definitely him, for sure, and his father, that's how they've lived. So it's definitely a family who, the only thing you can compare it to is something like the Kennedys, back in the day, where it's like a dynasty family. They got power, influence, and pretty much they believe that because of their name, they could do whatever they want. All right, so let's continue this.
Alec Murdaugh claimed that he wanted to meet with law enforcement after his arrest to tell them about his opioid addiction and other things involving the financial crimes. But Creighton Waters said there was no such meeting requested. Alec Murdaugh didn't want to do that, and he simply changes his story to fit the evidence.
And Mr. Waters, just to be clear, I was begging for a meeting with y'all to try to bring this to a close, to talk to y'all about everything up until the time that y'all charged me with hurting Maggie and Paul. Now, after that point in time, I stopped, obviously.
You're claiming that you were begging for a meeting, but you admit information was never conveyed that you wanted to change your story after multiple interviews with law enforcement about what happened that night, including the most important fact of all, which is when the last time you supposedly saw your wife and son alive was.
I don't know exactly what was conveyed or not because I wasn't part of that. All I know
Fair
is
enough.
what
You don't
I
know
was
what.
trying to do was to sit down. I understood to bring all this to a close that y'all would want me to sit down and go through all of these financial things, all of these things that I'd done wrong, and to try to bring that to a close. I was repeatedly trying to sit down with y'all.
The reality is, Mr. Murdaugh, is the reason why no one's ever heard that before is because you had to sit in this courtroom and hear your family and your friends, one after the other, come in and testify that you were on that kennel video. So you, like you've done so many times over the course of your life, had to back up and make a new story that kind of fit with the facts that can't be denied. Isn't that true, sir?
No, sir, that's not true.
You've done that over and over again over the years with all of this that we've been talking about, haven't you?
See, Mr. Waters had him right there. There's another lie. Nope, that's not true. Come on, Alec. You had to come up with another story because, well, damn. That is my voice in the back of that on that video that Paul had on his phone. And people who know me well said, nope, that's Alec Murdaugh. And so he's going, well, crap. Now I got to figure out an answer to that. So I guess I've already lied about all this other stuff. So why not add some more lies?
I've done what over and over again?
The second that you're confronted with facts that you can't deny, you immediately come up with a new lie. Isn't that correct?
Mr. Waters, as we've established, I have lied many times, but I can't sit here and tell you that. What are you talking about? Facts that I can't deny? That I would disagree with that proposition that you're putting out. That was what I did all the time. But in doing that, I admit again that I've lied to people that trusted me.
So we can agree that the prosecution and law enforcement and so many of your friends and family heard for the first time your story about the kennels yesterday after all these weeks of testimony. Can we agree on that?
That law enforcement, my partners, and my friends heard me say that for the first time. Yes, I agree with that.
I think everyone watching this case has been wondering, where did all of the money go? The between $8 million and $10 million that Alec Murdaugh has admitted to stealing from clients as he's testified. He was questioned about his lifestyle and whether or not he considered himself living a wealthy lifestyle.
Would you concede with me that not all of this money was going to pills at this point in time?
No.
All this stolen money?
No, I doubt that it was.
Okay. And it was being used to support your wealthy lifestyle?
Well, I haven't looked at all these documents to know exactly what was being spent where, but here's what I do know. I know that I was making a bunch of money, and I should have had more money than I did. And I know that I was spending a bunch of money on pills. And I know that, I don't remember in 2011 if I just can't remember those land deals. But, if I spent money on other things, I don't dispute that either. I just haven't looked at the records.
Okay. But you would at least concede that the money you were stealing was going to support your ever-expanding wealthy lifestyle. Would you concede that?
Did all of the money I stole?
Any of it, Mr. Murdaugh?
Any of it? Yeah, I would certainly agree that there was money that didn't go to buy just pills.
All right. And you would concede that even though you were generating millions of dollars in fees, that was not enough for you. Would you concede that?
If by concede that, you mean was I also stealing money that I shouldn't have? Yes, sir, I agree with that. I've said that repeatedly.
We know that.
So definitely he concedes that he stole money and he's a thief. He did go back and forth with Mr. Waters that about the quote unquote wealthy, well-to-do lifestyle, but he did seem to concede that, yeah, I guess I did. And he sure did. The family lived great. But he, there's no way he spent all that money on pills. I definitely think there was something else going on. But the bottom line is he stole and he lied. So where do the lies begin and end with Alex Murdaugh?
Alec Murdaugh has stolen from many clients. One of them was a teenager. Creighton Waters questioned Alec Murdaugh about that.
Let's talk about, let's start with Natasha Thomas. Do you remember her?
I do.
How old was she when she became your client?
I'm not sure. She was young.
She was a teenager?
I'm not sure, but I know she was young.
She was underage, correct?
Yes, she was underage. I do believe that.
All right.
In fact, I know that.
And can you tell me what she was injured in this wreck in an automobile wreck, correct?
Yes.
And the company Michelin, that was one of the defendants for an alleged tire issue, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And do you remember how much Natasha Thomas got in that particular case? And I can show it to you on 334. You remember how much she got?
As a gross settlement, I believe it shows $2 million.
$2 million. All right. And how much were your or PMPD's fees that would be attributed to you in that out of that $2 million?
$800,000.
$800,000.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir. All right. And so that would be $800,000 in fees that would get attributed to you. That has nothing to do with the money that you subsequently stole from that teenager. Correct?
The $800,000 is different from money that I stole?
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. So you got $800,000 attributed to you with the firm, but that was not enough. You also stole money from that teenager. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. When you did that, did you sit down with her, much as you sat down with this jury, and explain to her what was going on while you were stealing her money?
That would be the normal process, but I certainly don't remember specifically doing that.
That would be the normal process, correct?
That would be. It may be a little different with a teenager, but certainly, I mean...
You would sit down with them across the table and go through these documents, correct?
If that would not be abnormal, yes, sir.
All right. And then you would explain to them what was going on and how they were getting everything they were entitled to, correct?
If I was the one doing it, yes, sir.
And you would look them in the eye while you did that, correct?
It wouldn't be unusual for me to look them in the eye.
While you were doing some fast talking to a teenager, correct?
I certainly was not telling her the truth. I don't know if I was talking fast or slow, but I wasn't telling the truth.
Creighton.
Again, he admits I wasn't telling her the truth. I mean, it's sad what he did to these clients. He stole their money. It's bad enough he stole from big companies or his, partners, but he stole from victims of crimes or accidents. I mean, how horrific.
Waters also asked Alec Murdaugh about what he was doing the weekend before the murders. And basically, Murdaugh and his wife Maggie were in Colombia for a baseball game, but Alec Murdaugh was spending a lot of time in the hotel. And Waters suggested he may have been doing that because he was agitated.
All right. Tell the jury, where were you when these texts were taking place?
I was in a hotel.
And what city were you in?
Columbia, South Carolina.
All right. And where were they?
I'm not exactly sure where they were when they first started, but they would have been somewhere between a hotel, a restaurant, and the ball field.
All right. But when you send this text on June 6th at 11:41, you say y'all in seat already, correct?
Yes, that's what I did say.
All right. And they say, Maggie says, yes, we like these seats. Is that correct?
All right, that's correct. I didn't notice that. So at that point in time, they are in the ballpark.
All right. And then you respond, better than last night. They extended checkout to 1. going to come then. Is that correct?
That's what that text says. Yes, sir.
All right. So you're back at the room. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Later on, you text after she asked you to bring a charger and says, Muggy, you text, I'm dreading it. See you in a little bit. Is that correct?
That's what I said. Yes, sir.
She responds, don't come, but then asks about the charger and says it's hot. Is that correct?
Mr. Waters, yes, I assume you were reading it exactly so. Yes, sir.
All right. She eventually responds, not crowded, but not the place to come if you don't feel well. Very hot and muggy. We are inside, sitting at the bar, very nice indoors. Is that correct?
That's what it says. Yes, sir.
And then you respond, dialed you by accident. They are making me leave, so I'll see y'all in a few. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And who was making you leave where?
It was past checkout time at the hotel.
After you'd gotten an extended checkout, correct?
It appears so.
And the reality is that you were in that hotel suffering from withdrawals when that's going on. Is that correct?
I was beginning to. Yes, sir.
All right. And the reality is that your wife and your son were on you at that time period because they had found pills just a few weeks prior.
No, sir, that's not correct.
Then Creighton Waters.
And later on, of course, he admits that Paul, quote unquote, little detective, did find out. So, again, with he's not sure which story to go with or which lie he told previously. So, that seems to be the Alec way.
Waters moved on to the lead up to that kennel video on the day of the murders, the all-important kennel video taken at 8:44 p.m. MURDAUGH talked about eating dinner with Paul and Maggie before Paul and Maggie went down to the kennels.
And what did you do after that?
I came back out, sat out on the couch to eat dinner.
All right. About what time was that?
A few minutes later, it didn't take me long to shower.
And you say Paul was already eating at that point?
He was.
And you say he left first.
What I said is he got up and he finished eating, and he left our immediate vicinity. Now, I don't believe he left at that point, given what I've looked at, time records and all. I believe that he was around the house for a little bit longer.
And just to be clear, again,
But I didn't see him.
all of this detail was people were hearing for the first time yesterday, like we talked about before, correct?
Say that again?
All of this detail that we're going through right now is not anything that you related before. We're all hearing this for the first time yesterday.
Objection, Your Honor. Fifth Amendment privilege.
Objection is overruled.
So, yes, I did not tell law enforcement.
I love that Waters constantly reminded him in Cross that this is the story that you just now remembered and are telling us today. This is the new story. This is the new story. I think he's a great attorney, but that's exactly what he was doing on the stand. I don't know where he came up with the lies, but it does seem like he can't remember necessarily what lie, and he does ask him to repeat the question, and I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Those sorts of things. And again, Alec he's not stupid. He's not even, he's an intelligent man who, up until now, when he's allegedly unalived his wife and his son, he's done a lot of horrible things as far as stealing financially and all that, but I mean, this is quite a difference from that sort of stuff. But there's other things in the past that they're stating that the family and potentially him is alleged of being part of some cover-up. So there's just so much that you gotta wonder, again, where does the truth ever happen in Alec Murdaugh's world?
Actually, I don't think law enforcement asked me what I did when we first went to the house, but I clearly lied to law enforcement about what I said yesterday.
Okay. And all of this, the last time you supposedly saw your wife and child, all of this detail, you as a lawyer and a prosecutor didn't think that was important to offer on your own?
Oh, I think it's important.
You told this jury how cooperative you've been and how much information you wanted to provide, but you left out the most important parts, didn't you?
I left out that. I sure did.
You don't consider that one of the most important parts?
I think it's important.
Now, since the murders happened, Alec Murdaugh has never mentioned being down at the kennels with Paul and Maggie. But on the stand, he had to admit it because his voice is on the video. We've all heard it. That kennel video happened and was taken by Paul at 8:44 p.m. Nobody knew about that video until March of 2022, almost a year after the murders. Alec Murdaugh says that he took that chicken out of Bubba's mouth and then went straight back to the house. Prosecutors, though, say 5 minutes later, Paul and Maggie were murdered. Listen to Alec Murdaugh's explanation.
Down there for a couple minutes, I think you've said now, before you get off the golf cart?
Yes, sir.
All right. And where do you go at that point?
I take the chicken from Bubba.
All right. So you get up?
Well, I mean, Bubba's come out there with this chicken. I mean, he's showing us, hey, I caught this chicken. And I take the chicken from Bubba.
Bubba came up to the golf cart?
He came up by the golf cart. He came up to Maggie and I, which I was on the golf cart. She's by the golf cart. I mean, he's not coming to the golf cart, but he's coming to us.
Is this during the kennel video or is this after the kennel video?
Well, no, you hear Maggie say he's got a chicken. Okay. That's what she's talking about is Bubba caught a chicken.
All right. All right. So is the kennel video still going on before you go get the chicken? I mean, you've heard it, correct? You've heard it in this courtroom.
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly, but in close timing to Bubba coming out of those woods with the chicken, I got up and took the chicken from him.
So did you say goodbye, according to your new story?
Did I say goodbye?
Yeah. Did you talk to them at all, or did you just get the chicken, put it on there, jump on there, and just take off?
I wouldn't have just gone off. I mean, I would have said, I'm leaving.
Okay.
Did I say goodbye or bye?
And again, go ahead.
I mean, there would have been some, there would have been some exchange. I'm not staying here.
Well, what was that exchange? I mean, you've had such a photographic memory about these news stories. What happened here?
It's not. I can't tell you the exact words.
You don't remember your conversation after you put that chicken up? Did y'all talk about the chicken?
No, I don't think we did.
Did you talk with Paul about Cash's tail?
After the chicken?
Yeah.
No, I know I didn't do that.
Did you tell Maggie I'm going to go check on him?
At that point, no, I don't.
Did you tell Maggie, it's hide out here, think I'll go back?
I certainly would have said something to that effect.
All right. So
he's got such a photographic memory, but yet I don't know what I said. Did I say anything to Maggie? Did I say anything to Paul? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not buying it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not buying it. Not even a bit.
Unlike everything else with the news story, you just can't recall what that would have been.
Well, I mean, you're making that categorization. I think there's other things about that I can't remember. But if the question is, can I remember exactly what words I used when I gave Maggie some salutation when I'm leaving, I can't tell you what those were.
All right.
but it would have been something to the effect of, I'm leaving.
All right. Okay. But you would concede that there was at least some conversation, that you wouldn't have just put the chicken on there and ran back to the golf cart and taken off. Correct?
Without talking to Maggie, I would have never done that.
And that's it for the top moments from the cross-examination of Alec Murdaugh. Thanks.
So that's a really good sidebar piece from Law and Crime. Of course, there's so many more quote-unquote highlights that I think they could be pulled from his testimony, especially cross-examination by the state. But, man, hearing him on there, and, you know, like I said, the man can lie. In my opinion, he can lie. And, you know, I guess he just doesn't know where the truth is anymore. So and a couple times he tried to cry, and I just didn't buy it. Personally, I wasn't buying it. If he's upset at all, in my opinion, it would be he's upset that he allegedly, of course we have to say allegedly, that he unalived his wife and his young son, and he regrets what he did. And or he also regrets that the assisted unaliving of himself didn't actually go as planned. So, again, he's having to answer for all these things, and it's like a brick by brick by brick. It's all piling on top of this man, and he just doesn't know how to get out of this awful hole that he's put himself in. And I don't know if he can. So, let me know what y'all think in the comments, especially if you've been watching the trial, and more specifically, what you think of Alec's testimony on Thursday and Friday. Do you think that you believe him at all, or do you think he's just full of it? And more importantly, do you think the jury believes anything that he said? Or do you think that they're going to see right through him, you know, and see right through how much he's a liar? And all I could think of as I watch him is Pinocchio. It's like how long, how much more can you lie? I mean, if he was Pinocchio, his nose would be the length of that courtroom and beyond at this point. So I don't know, but the thing is, the jury can't consider other things as well as we know, and they're not supposed to have taken into consideration like the documentary, all these other things, but they're only supposed to decide this case on what they've heard and seen in the courtroom, and that's all gonna tentatively finish up this week, and by the end of the week they should have the case, and they should be in deliberations. So I'm definitely curious what they think, and we're gonna see from there. And as an addition, I don't know if you guys saw it. It went up. I just saw it today. Alec Murdaugh has been charged with an additional misdemeanor due to his taking something from the courtroom back into the van, supposedly. And somebody mentioned that Buster gave him a book, or someone else gave him something, and he took it back. I suppose that he's not allowed to take anything with him out of the courtroom without permission from law enforcement or whomever. So he's got an additional charge that's sitting on him. But at this point, with over 100 charges from the financials and the thefts and these unaliving charges that he's facing right now, the man's, even if he comes out of this where they're a hung jury, or they can't find him guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, he's not going to see the light of day, at least for quite some time. And I think the biggest difference, from what I understand, is if he's convicted in criminal court, you know, that's definitely less than cushy. But if he goes through the financials, he's got possibilities of doing some kind of a deal, and also that kind of time behind bars is not exactly as bad as a regular, brick and mortar prison for criminals. So we shall see what happens. But again, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Where do you stand on this case? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think he's not guilty? And do you think the jury is going to find him guilty, not guilty? Do you think they're going to be a hung jury? Let me know. And on your way out, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would love it if you would. Just hit that subscribe button, the notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.